What's up, guys and gals, and welcome back to Nompton. In the previous episode, we had some major setbacks. We had a honey badger spawn right on top of our nomads and then kill a bunch of them, and then for whatever reason our gnomes were out for blood, like they wanted revenge, and so no matter what option I toggled, they would not disengage. And so finally having, and believe me, I've played this game hundreds of hours in between here and Desur, like I know how to disengage my gnomes, and unfortunately it appears as though we caught some kind of weird, I don't know if it was a calculation bug or what happened right there, because I tried turning off perform attack orders, I put in avoid enemies, and they just really seemed dead set on just like murdering. So anyways, we need to assign ourselves a perk for our formation. I mean, there isn't really any... I guess we'll go the best defense for right now, just because I think that's the only one that'll actually cash out any sort of benefit. Now the downside is that this individual has now lost her sparring partner. And so unfortunately I didn't get to do the names either. I was still trying to mess around with the ambassadors. Apparently this room is not going to work for the ambassador. He's not okay with it. I don't even know if we're set up right now. Since we don't have a bone needle, I'm going to wait till morning and see if that honey badger finally died, and that's what ended up resetting it. But as you can see over here, our character, I left this running for a few minutes after I ended the last episode just to see what would happen and keep fiddling with stuff. Our character kept running back and forth, punching the thing once, running back, and like hoping that everything would work out. So what we're going to have to do now is if goblins invade, we're going to have to use a Zerg mob strategy because all of our warriors have died. And so if goblins invade, we're just going to have to send in like 500 guys at once and hope that we just overwhelm them because we have no warriors now. This one over here, unfortunately the gnome that survived is not the good warrior, it's the terrible warrior. So that's going to create a problem for us. I don't know if you can even train by yourself. I don't think you can. Okay, so we've got a merchant coming in, which is good. And so yeah, I don't even think she can train by herself, unfortunately, so that's going to be that. Let's go ahead and check out the market stall and see if they have anything that I'm going to need. I think not so much. And so I need to wait till morning. So they don't want to buy any of our clay or any of that kind of stuff, but there is a lot of it laying around, so I may just get rid of it to say that I did. Let's go ahead and trade 500 of our marble for... Will they not even take it anymore? Let's see here. So we've got that, and then... There it is. I'm clicking the wrong thing. It'll be okay. Everything will work out. After I get past these first few little growing pains, everything will come back. So there's nothing that I really want to trade with this guy right now. I mean, there are certain things in here that might be useful a little bit later on, and so our big goals right now are going to be to recover. I mean, that's the big thing, is that little bout of RNG. Getting that nasty honey badger that spawned on top of our nomads is a really, really bad thing. To the extent that it's just like, oh my god, that was unexpectedly terrible. And so the other thing that I might do is just take all of those extra gnomes we got. So for example, we have... Let me go to... I don't want this right here. What I may do, though... Let me isolate who it is that we wanted assigned to new professions. I think it was Nopopo, and I think Nopopo is actually the only one left. So we may go and put Nopopo in the military just so they can train together and like learn to fight. Kind of the extra people that we have laying around anyways. And so what they'll do now is they'll come down to this training arena, and why we want our soldiers training is going to be limited to, actually we need to assign things to Way of the Gnome as well. So we'll assign that to Way of the Gnome. We'll have retreat if bleeding. We will not have pursue lost targets. I don't know what it was that got us screwed in the last one. I'm still kind of pondering it over. I think I recall hearing a long time ago on the forums that it's a bug that sometimes will not allow your gnomes to disengage from fighting. What is going on here? Is it the maintain distance thing? Did it assign them as enemies once they started... What in the hell are they running away from? I'm a little bit confused right now. This training is too terrifying. And they just keep running away. But anyways, the reason why we're training them together, just so you know, is that if you click on your gnomes, you want them to have high skills in fighting, and you want them to have high skills in dodging. Those are going to be really, really important later on. And by putting them in the training... Why are they... What in the hell is going... This is the buggiest bout of this game that I've ever seen. Let me take a look. Retreat if bleeding. No. So we'll assist the squad leader. What is going on here? I don't like to eat up episodes, like looking at these weird things that are occurring, but... maybe it's because I have avoid enemies on here and they're temporarily assigned as enemies. I don't know, there's weird stuff occurring. I recall having avoid enemies on while they used to fight in the training arena before? God, this is kind of embarrassing because I consider myself to be quite averse in this game, and unfortunately the things that are happening are out of the ordinary. It would figure that it would happen on camera, wouldn't it? It would figure that the moment all the weird stuff starts happening, I would be recording and I would look the fool. But it's not the first time. We'll just kind of move on and not deal with it. So I'm going to assign people to mine out some of these walls to get ourselves a bit more of the lovely, lovely tin that's hiding back below our city. And I think I'll go for this extra copper too, because in this season we really want to make sure that we get some crafting done. Now I am going to make a temporary squad that we're not going to put anybody into. And the grilling sacks of flame. I like it. I like it. I think we're going to keep that name. We're going to call them a basic formation. We're going to give them Way of the Gnome. That'll all work out perfectly fine. And then we're going to keep that extra squad open just in case we need to assign people to fight with goblins, which may be soon. So let's talk to... what is this guy doing right here? So we've got Zion, the ambassadors. He requires personal quarters. And I don't have those assigned. I mean, I don't really care. Ah, Yak was born. Let's wait for that yak to show up. And now we're going to build ourselves a butcher's table because that yak is exactly... actually, where did that honey badger end up? Is that honey badger dead around here somewhere? Because if the honey badger died, I would prefer to use it for the bone needle rather than anything else. It may have just left, though. It died off in the corner somewhere, I think. I didn't see the notification for it. So anyways, workshops. We're going to jump back in and we're going to go to food and drink. And we're going to put in a butcher shop now. Not a bircher shop. A bircher shop is something that would be confined to the meme corners of the internet. But anyways, we've got that going on. Who else is happening here? Got a bunch of tin going around. It would be a shame to waste this much tin on making anvils in the future, but that may end up being what we do. I'm also going to go another stack of furniture right here. We'll go with a wall torch that we'll put right there. The wall torches can be a little bit weird and difficult to get assigned sometimes, so don't mind me as I attempt to get those in place. That's why I prefer the floor ones, just because I don't have to like rotate them around to get them to work. And so we'll put in one right there. And I think it'll probably be a good idea to put in one more over here, too. They should be back to work on some of this copper right here. Awesome. Absolutely stupendous. Now, the other thing I might trade for, in fact, may be copper. That might be a good call. So let's go ahead and talk to the merchant, and we'll go over to... that's not what I want. I want this. There we go. And so we are going to take your copper ore. So with 24, what's that going to cost me? 480? Hope I have enough to trade for that right now. I doubt that I do. So all of those statuettes that we had thought to create earlier are probably not going to be enough to get us by. Actually, I'll get rid of some of the raw emerald and the raw sapphire as well. So that puts us there. Strawberry seed, always a good go-to item when you're trying to patch in and make sure that you have enough things, enough things to trade. I'll give them 100 strawberry seeds. Cotton seeds, also a good call. I only have 90 of those, so that's not going to fit in. We can't just give them some flat cotton, though, so let's give them some flat cotton. There we go. We'll go as opposed to, like, rotund cotton. There we are. 440 for that. And then other things that we have laying around. They don't want marble or anything like that, although I may just throw, like, an extra 600 of that in just to get it out of my storage. And then the final things that we could throw over there, I guess we'll clip a couple off of here. And so they cost 20 apiece. We only need to get rid of 2 anyways. So we'll take 2, we'll swap that on over to there, and we will make the trade. Awesome, so we got ourselves some free copper anyways, and that should get hauled out pretty soon. You can see it right there in the stack in front of the stall. They're doing another wheat harvest right now, which means we're going to have some extra straw. Nobody's fighting because I think all my guards are sleeping. It'll all work out in the end for the better. Let's see if what I did right there worked, or if they're still running away from each other in a strange fashion. It's going to be important to get them trained up before the first round of goblins come. Okay, so I guess that's what it is. I don't remember. I've had them on avoid enemies before, and they've never run out of the training zone as far as I know. But maybe that's something, maybe that's a new problem that's arisen with one of the recent patches. We're going to need to chop down some trees because I saw that our log supply was really, really low. And so let's go ahead and knock those out. That is one of the downsides to being along the edge of a map, is that sometimes you end up in the unfortunate spot of just having random honey badgers and things spawning right in your face. We don't have walls up or anything right now, so that's going to be another problem, so they have to go around the edges. God, that honey badger, that was a problem. Luckily, it didn't kill enough gnomes to get itself named and turn into a legendary honey badger. This would have been kind of a long-term issue for us. I don't see it laying around anywhere. And I wanted to get the butcher's shop up first to make sure that the honey badger didn't die somewhere so that we could use the honey badger for the bone that we need to get our loom going. But anyways, we're going to have to do a whole bunch of mining up here anyway. So let's go ahead and get rid of some of the walls over here. We're a little bit behind the 8-ball given the indiscretions that happened in the previous episode. So I'm going to give myself a lovely room right here to handle all of our looming, because I like to loom every now and again. It's mostly when other people are reading in the same vicinity as me, but then you got to kind of jump in there and just kind of loom for a moment, loom in a sinister fashion until they're just like, what are you doing? Go away, I'm trying to read. Nobody likes it when somebody reads over their shoulders. Oh, I hate that so much, especially when you're up on the internet, like reading somebody and somebody's just in the room, just standing there. It's like, what? What are you doing? Stop dropping eaves. Shouldn't be dropping nothing up in here. Stop this right now. Beginning to frustrate me, but then again, maybe it's because I'm a finicky bastard. That could be it too. He'll probably leave pretty soon because he doesn't have private quarters. I tried my best. Can I assign? Oh, you can assign. Let's give it to Zion then. He might not like it, but we can give it to him. Give him like a terrible bed in here somewhere. There we go. There's your room. It's just an empty stone room with a pile of straw in the middle. Be like, wow, your kingdom is awesome. You have to have that awkward conversation. Like when you go over to somebody's house and you're just like, so where's the bathroom? And they're like, oh, we don't have one. We just use that can in the corner. And you're just like, oh. So is this like a long-term plan? Or are you planning on like contacting a plumber and trying to get that fixed? Or is this just like one of those things that you don't care? A little confused right now as to your order of operations. I mean, before anything else in my house, I would prefer, I mean, I will sleep on a floor before I will poop in a can. So I think I'd like to make that distinction right this second. They should all be crafting blocks, and I'm actually going to cancel the remainder of this job since we're not near the end of the season anyways. Great Hall is up to 1290. We don't have anything too valuable laying around. I wanted to make sure that knife, stone blades, and things get made because we are waiting on our butcher shop right now. Oh, we'll make a knife. Make several knives, in fact. We're going to need them for later. In fact, I can almost guarantee that's what's holding this thing up. It didn't even queue up the knife. Okay. So that's an interesting roadblock that we'd hit. Sometimes this game has little foibles. So every now and again, you want to check the order in which things are being crafted because you will find a lot of the time that occasionally, like when you tell it to craft all ingredients, it doesn't add them to the queue. And so just check in. If something doesn't appear to get built within a day or two of you assigning it, maybe just kind of pop in and be like, hey, what's going on over here, guys? And you'll probably find out that it wasn't added to a queue somewhere. It's just it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen occasionally. So I keep an eye on it. Put that down there. I am so terrified about our first goblin assault. I am really kind of worried now that we don't have enough warriors. We may have to dogpile on some goblins and just kind of hope that we get reinforced within the next season. We also, the next thing we want to think about as we play the game is we want to get ourselves situated as to about 300 food and about 300 drink before we go into the next season. It may not be entirely economical and we may not be able to make it happen, but it is something that I think we probably want to focus on at least briefly. Got a block made right there, so where is my knife at? Need a hilt. Okay, so is the hilt being crafted? Let's make sure that that's been added. Okay, it has. Good. And so we do have our torches laying around now, which means that some of our excess builders should be able to run around, get through, and make sure that some of the things are getting done. The next thing that I want to do is make sure that we have a smelter. And so once we have a smelter in place, I may have too many jobs going right now. Just one of those extra things that I figured I'd drop by you. It'd be cool if Zion would, like, do some damn work while he's around here instead of just, like, eating up all of our food and doing nothing. I'm not okay with this kind of ambassador. He wants a room of 540 value, but for now, his worth is 55. That's about the best that he can ask for. And our deforesting is going pretty well. So I like how they just both looked and they were like, yeah, I don't think we're going to be fighting any bears today. I think that's outside of our modus operandi. That's outside the confines. Let's take a look at their skills and make sure that they're leveling up too. So dodge 16. Because they're both so low level, they're both going to level up really slowly. So he's gone to dodge 11 from dodge 6. His fighting is up to 22 though, which is really good. So I'm really hoping we can get them up to the mid-20s before our first assault, but I'm not really going to hold my breath on it. That tends to be where you want things to be at, kind of the mid-20s. And then later on, once you get a bit further and you're fighting like ogres and mants and things like that, being in the 40s is probably about where you want to be to make sure that nobody suffers any catastrophic deaths. Why is this just not getting constructed? Have I queued up too much stuff? I feel like I've queued up too much stuff. We have a miner making coal over here. Do we even have any torches remaining to be placed? That's about what I figured. So he's probably doing the repeating task over here. Indeed he is. So we're going to cancel that for just a second to make sure that he goes down and makes the knife blade, which is very important. Oh, he's making the mold. Okay, so he's making the stuff. I probably shouldn't have queued that up. That's going to be my next problem. I tend to over-queue things. That's just the way that I go. He's hanging out in there. We should be all right. We're crafting drinks, making sure everything's all right there. Our next harvest should be coming in pretty shortly to ensure that we don't end up starving to death or anything like that. At the market stall, it might be worthwhile to set people to work on some other things while we wait. Oh, we've got plenty of ore. We need to get started on making some gear. That's what we need. At least another piece of chest plate so that if anybody gets punched in the throat, they don't die instantly. So just so you know, bone armor. Oh, he left. He was sick of our shit. He was done. He was like, you know what? I've been sleeping on a floor. This is lame. I hate your kingdom. I'm out. We are never sending another merchant again. That's fine. I don't really care about him anyways. So I've made self-sustaining kingdoms without merchants. Like me, it's a bonus. It's a benefit. But I'm not going to count it as one of those things that I have to succeed. And so now the butcher table is up, and either we're going to butcher one of our yaks for a bone. Okay, so we're going to have to pick one. We have 2 males anyway, so sucks to be you, bud. Dead yak walking. And so one of the herdsmen should come around here, grab a yak. There it is. That's a popular gnomish game, grab a yak. You kind of put a yak out in the field, you oil it up, you shave it, and then you try and chase it down to eat for dinner. It's called grab a yak. Very, very popular sport. It's not the most civilized, but a very, very popular sport nonetheless. And so now what we need is a bone needle, so we'll get that going. Once said bone needle is finished off, we should be able to make ourselves a loom, and we should be able to... What are you doing right here? Senya Knight has decided to take advantage of the situation and sleep in the excess room. I don't blame her. I would probably do the exact same thing. And if we end up with raiders now from the Goblin Kingdoms, we are going to be in a deep Bantha Poodoo. It's going to be bad. It's going to be really bad. I hate it when your guys are sleeping and you get attacked. It's just like, no! Because they will literally stay asleep and people just beat them to death in a coma. It's the weirdest thing ever. And so our smelter has been finished. And so the next thing we want to do with our smelter is we want to make ourselves a ton of anvils out of copper. So I think 4 anvils is probably going to be sufficient, I think. But that's going to be a big project, is we want to make sure that our metalworking foundry type area gets done. And so in here, we can make an anvil. Oh, we can smelt it from there. So this is our... Wait, what? Did I build the wrong building? I built the wrong building. I thought... Sigh. Making noob mistakes. Making big old noob mistakes. It'll be fine. He told himself. What we need is a forge. I don't know. I think the tooltip was showing or something. Oh, it's melt various items. I saw bars and I was like, that's what I want. I want that right now. Mummy, daddy. So we'll put that right there, and that's what we actually need in order to make ourselves a bunch of anvils. And so with remaining work to be done here, I think it's probably a good idea to keep the miners designated. Well, the miners are crafting things right now, and I think we're all right on all of our supplies. We'll get them down and mining on other stuff once we're a little bit further on in. How much wheat are we having right now? Zagoots. And we'll go down and we'll check and make sure we got 53 straw. Good. And then just general purpose wheat. How are we doing right there? 81 grains. And so it might be a better plan right now to go down to our distillery and just to have grain beer crafted on repeat. And we'll get rid of the strawberry wine so that we're not eating through all of our excess crops in order to survive. And so now we have beer. Beer, 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 tiddly beer. Thanks to Charlie Mops and all that fun stuff, we have ourselves the finest drink ever crafted by humanity. How any civilization ever survived without it, I'm not really sure. We made an attempt here in the States, and it just ended up with widespread gangsterism, and also whiskey and gin that would make you go blind. All of these trees have refruited as well, so I think it's probably not a terrible idea to get down here and just kind of make hay while the sun is shining, and re-harvest all of them. How are you guys doing on the training right now? Are you guys looking any better? Dodge is up to 17, which is really kind of the important stat. Stuck at a hammer of 14, unfortunately. I don't know. The hammer's not going to level up because, well, I would almost prefer that she use fist fighting. Might be a little bit more successful, but it's a huge micromanaging task to make that happen right now. And I don't feel like doing it on camera. I'm not going to bore you with the specifics of making somebody drop a hammer, which is way more complicated than you would think it would be. Luckily, this next locality has managed to finish off pretty quickly. So at the forge, what I need to do is I just need to smelt out just an ass ton of copper bars right now. And so we're going to put that on repeat. And hopefully we'll get a bunch of bars done in between here and the next day, like maybe 12 to 15. And then we need to go back to... We also need a location where we can make an anvil. Oh, it's from right here. And so we need 8 of those in order. So we're going to need a lot. And by a lot, I mean a lot. So with the copper bars, we have the capability of making about 30 of them, which means we can get 3 anvils up, which means we're definitely going to need a lot more. Let's go ahead and set up a mining task too. Allow them to continue. Oh good, this is all ready to go. So they're going to cut clippings from here, and then eventually they should cut down the trees. Once the whole thing is taken care of, our foresters should handle it. Our yak pasture is looking surprisingly nervous and alone. All of them are standing around eyeing each other nervously, being like, hey, what happened to Ted? Ted got himself off because we needed a bone needle. It became important to the survival of the colony. Now that we have a bone needle laying around on the ground, before I forget, I should probably go through and let's jump into here. And we're going to build ourselves a loom, which I appear to be able to do in that room. And we will also build ourselves a tailor. And so there it is. We finally have a tailor on the premises. We can start making grunting noises and engaging in some home improvement. Now then, we've got that taken care of. We've got a bunch of food laying around over here. Maybe I should turn this into... Oop, I don't need the butcher. I need... Oh, I don't have a kitchen table yet, so I should probably build a kitchen table at some point too. Probably do that in the next episode. We don't have enough excess wheat or anything to provide ourselves with... They haven't gotten started making any of the beer yet. Well, they have slightly gotten started, but not quite as much as we would have preferred. Honey Badger is here. Hopefully everybody runs... Is that the same Honey Badger? If that is the Honey Badger of lore, it has no kills on its list, so... It's dying of thirst. I think it's trying to run up on our milk right there and drink it. I don't know. No matter what we do. These fights, by the way, get totally out of hand in between gnomes. Like, they get a vendetta. I had one time where my gnomes, the fight that they were having on the training grounds made it all the way down to this floor right here. Not in this game. And they had made it into one of the storage rooms. One of the gnomes had picked up a rock and was trying to fight the other gnome with a rock. And in response, the other gnome had picked up one of these little... copper bars, or I guess it was a bronze bar. It was trying to beat the other dude to death with a bronze. It got out of hand way too rapidly. Like, really, really quickly did it get out of hand. How are we doing on logs? Should I harvest this right now? Oh, we got 136. We are G2G. We've mined all that out now, which is nice. Continue our way down there, and with the final minute of our episode, I'm going to put in a torche. This floor, we've got so much tin to go off of that I am kind of excited about it. We could craft some basic gear out of tin, but tin is not so good. I mean, a lot of the baseline armors that you start out with in the game, like copper and tin, are really, really insanely bad. Bronze is kind of the first tier, which is like, yeah, you've got bronze armor. The enemy should probably fear you now. And at this point, we're just treading water. That's the big... I think that's exactly where we are in this playthrough, is we're just treading water like crazy. Now, at our tailor, we need to get this done so that we can make bolts. Okay, and so now we can make bolts of cotton. And so we're going to craft that up to 15. Over here, we're going to go ahead and have band-aids. And we're going to craft them up to, I'd say, like 30. And the way that I like to do this personally... is what I do is I put a little stockpile up here, right next to the training grounds, and it is only for bandages. So we'll go through, and in the cloth menu, we'll say that this is only for band-aids. And now what we need to do is, I think I've assigned these into this menu in here. Oh, maybe not. And so what this does is it gives them a very close location where they can jump in, grab a Band-Aid. And the reason you want Band-Aids is the Band-Aids are really, really good. They cure basically everything that goes wrong with your gnomes. If your gnomes get like a crippled foot, a Band-Aid fixes it. It's the greatest thing ever. Apparently they've invented magical gnomish Band-Aids, and it works out great. So we're going to want to build a couple crates over here too to make sure that we have lots of Band-Aids sitting around. I think one crate would have been sufficient, but I'll do 2 just for safe measure. And then I think I'm going to break the episode off right here. So my name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me in the Nerd Castle for another day in Nompton. It was fun. I mean, we've dealt with kind of a weird situation in the last episode. I'm sure one of you has elucidated me at this point as to what happened. I probably messed something up. That's what I would... Music just got kind of scary. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. Take care out there, everybody, and I do.